Hi, I'm Dr. August de Oliveira. A lot of new and prospective CEREC users are afraid of becoming a lab tech. Although those of us that do a lot of CEREC restorations and stain and glaze the majority of them know how easy it is, many dentists fear that they'll be trading valuable chair time for time spent in the lab. In our intermediate and advanced CEREC courses, we spend a great deal of time on the prep, powder, and picture aspect, but not much of what happens after the milling process is finished. Today I want to show you how you can hand polish your CEREC restorations and get the same amount of shine that you would expect from a lab processed restoration. Beautiful CEREC restorations really start at the mill preview. Here we'll be using an Ivoclar Empress CAD multi-block, and let me show you how to position it in the mill preview so that we've got a nice gradation between the incisal and dentin porcelains, also that we can show a little dentin on the occlusal surface. So the computer usually defaults to having the restoration being fairly low in the block. What we want to do is move it up to about 10% off the top of the block. What that'll do is it'll give us a nice amount of incisal porcelain on the cusp tips, but also give us some dentin showing through the occlusal surface. So this is the restoration outside of the milling chamber. We've tried it in the mouth, and you can see that I have my sprue on the lingual. I like to try to keep my sprues on the lingual. There's a lot less anatomy on the lingual side of the tooth. So you can see here that there's a sprue. Also, it's hard to see, but on the buccal in the furcation area we've got a lot of scratches and striations that you typically get when doing these restorations in fast mill. The burr that I'm going to use is a Meisinger Lab diamond. It's a medium diamond. It's what's called a sintered diamond, which means that it's got diamonds upon diamonds, so these last forever. Also, it's nice because it's not a very aggressive burr, so you don't have to worry about taking off anatomy or gouging your restoration. What we want to use is a lab electric handpiece. These can be purchased inexpensively from your Patterson dealer, and I like to run the burr at medium speed. So here I'm removing the sprue. The nice thing about this burr is you really have to push it to get it to work. So I'm not real worried about ditching my margins. But what I'm doing is I'm going around the restoration. I'm just looking for any of the scratches or facets that you get in between your height of contour line and your margin. And just running this really lightly over the restoration and looking around for those scratches. If you look on the occlusal, we can round off any sharp areas that we might get from the design process. Next, I'm going to be using a Meisinger medium white porcelain wheel. I really like this wheel for a number of reasons. One, it's inexpensive. It comes in a pack of 10, and these are about $1 a wheel. You do have to put your own mandrels on them. What I like the best about it is the rubber in the wheel doesn't burn. The wheel degrades into a powder. What I'm going to be doing is turning down the speed, and what I want to do is low speed and high torque. So I'm really pushing down hard on this restoration, and I'm just looking for any scratches. I'm just sort of pushing out any facets. I run this on the occlusal. I'm not too worried about getting into my anatomy. I'm just sort of rounding off my marginal ridges and triangular ridges. And as you can see, that we're just getting a buildup of powder, not burnt rubber. I go into the buccal here. I'm going to get close to my margin, but I don't want to hit my margin with this wheel. This wheel is somewhat of an aggressive wheel, so I'm worried about dinging my margin with it. The next step is to use a product called Diashine. What Diashine is various grits of porcelain paste in a wax carrier. So what you want to do is use a stiff Robinson brush. You can order these through Patterson. This is a number 11 stiff Robinson brush, and what we're going to be doing is passing this through the Diashine, 1 pass per surface of the restoration. And just like our wheel, we want a low speed, high torque. So you can see here, the wax melts and it allows it to get into the Robinson brush. So what we want to do is just get it into our restoration, but realize that the work is done on the pull stroke. So you want to use a lot of pressure. Use your loops and turn the restoration in the light and look for any scratches that might cause the restoration to look dull. I'm not using the coarse and the fine Diashine in the inner proximal. I'll get to that with the fine soft Diashine. Okay. Next, with a separate Robinson brush, we'll be using the fine Diashine paste. Same deal, 1 pass per surface. You can see here in our anatomy, we're already getting a really nice shine. We typically book about an hour for the entire CEREC process. We used to book an hour and 15 minutes due to the staining and glazing process. If we find that we need to stain and glaze, I'll ask for an extra 15 minutes for the appointment. Next, we're going to be using the last in the Diashine series, which is an FS, or fine soft Diashine. We've got a great shine already, it just needs to be buffed a little bit more. So here we are at the occlusal surface, and again, all the work done on the pull stroke. These brushes are great, especially when you get any polishing materials in the groove. Easy to clean that out. Finally, really quickly, we're going to use a chamois wheel. And a chamois wheel, you want to use a little higher speed, but very light pressure. And this just buffs the restoration. You can see how shiny we're getting this restoration. From start to finish, we're looking at, on average, a little less than 4 minutes to shine your restorations up. Whereas staining and glazing, if you include sprue removal, pre-polishing, applying the glazes, and cooling down, you're looking at easily 10 to 18 minutes. So here we have our polished CEREC restoration. It's got a shine that's very comparable to a lab glazed restoration, and because of the fact we used an Empress CAD multi-block, we have the gradation between our incisal, body, and cervical porcelains. In the central fissure area, we get a little bit of the dentin porcelain showing through. You can also use this technique to polish PFMs or any other lab fabricated restoration after a lot of occlusal adjustment. It only takes a minute and you can get the shine that you've gotten from the lab. If you'd like more information on how to get beautiful CEREC restorations, you can find out more about the courses that I offer at www.lacerec.com.